45 minutes passed in Lords of the Fallen before I died for the first time. That's a bit of a surprise for a game that makes no secret of its heavy debts to the ultra-punishing Dark Souls series. At times it sacrifices too much at the altar of combat accessibility. But it usually makes up for it with a tempting risk and reward system that caters to multiple playstyles and through the arcadey pleasures of hacking and slashing for loot. Lords of the Fallen's formulaic story follows Harkon, a gruff criminal who's pulled from behind bars to save the world from interdimensional monsters called the Rogar. We're never told the nature of his crimes, however, and Lords repeatedly introduces other characters with only a modicum of characterization. When the plot tries for a shocking twist near the end of its roughly 17-hour story, it's hard to care about anyone involved. The attractive surroundings are a good backdrop, although aside from the welcome lengthy jaunt into the Rogar homeworld, it's the usual crumbling castles and snowy peaks. Bulky, comic book designs of characters and weaponry are less prepare to die, and more let's kick some ass. As it turns out, that attitude doesn't undermine the joys of combat. Blocking and rolling out of harm's way is still essential in Lords of the Fallen, at least for the first few hours. These creatures aren't pushovers, but they aren't even close to the obstacles Dark Souls fans are used to. In fact, encounters seem balanced for people who were scared away from Dark Souls' unrelenting emphasis on hardcore play. Lords of the Fallen concerns itself more with arcade-quality fun, and it complements this tendency with a Diablo-style loot system that drops ever better weapons and gear from both chests and enemies. The weapons themselves are fun to use, whether it's a customizable magic gauntlet for ranged combat or impressive-looking weapons like scythes and staves. Getting into the sword swing of things reveals a fun hack-and-slash combat experience that feels closer to the arcadey beat-em-up style of Darksiders than Dark Souls' high-stakes dueling. You can charge up attacks for more force, for instance, and you can minimize the energy needed to swing Harkon's hefty weapons through carefully timed combos. You're locked into one of 3 sets of 4 spells for warrior, rogue, or cleric playstyles, but I did feel I had a fair amount of freedom to play Harkon as I chose. The biggest issue is that the class skills are wildly overpowered when fully upgraded. At the same time, Lords of the Fallen tries to surpass the challenges of Dark Souls. It makes you return to the scene of your death to recover lost XP, for instance, but ups the ante by attaching a timer to the XP pile. Glowing gems that serve as checkpoints and potion-filling stations allow you to play it safe by storing XP in them for use with either magic or attributes. Or you can be more ambitious and ignore them to build up an XP multiplier that increases with each kill. This risk-reward system is the great idea behind Lords of the Fallen. It's a good system, particularly since there's no way to adjust the difficulty, so it's sad to watch Lords of the Fallen make it irrelevant in the second half of the campaign by allowing you to reach quasi-godhood with little effort. Heavy armor pushes this to absurd lengths, as Harkon seems to laugh off heavy blows. The challenges grow consistently tougher and more satisfying once you complete a playthrough and venture into New Game Plus territory, but it's a shame you have to wait. This balance issue carries over to the bosses. Lords of the Fallen boasts a couple of battles that forced me to think out strategies for victory, but I managed to kill 4 other bosses on the first try just by beating them down. That's not to say it wasn't fun, but dying to a boss on the first try was just a mere annoyance rather than the first step in a rewarding learning experience. Halfway through the campaign, I absolutely expected to win every fight as long as I played within my comfort zone, and that's a problem. Lords of the Fallen delivers entertaining combat centered on combos and spells, but its risk-based reward system seems slightly out of place in a world where its hero easily achieves great power and defense and makes risk obsolete. It achieves its goal of creating a more accessible Dark Souls experience, but unfortunately it goes a step or two too far.